Hello you guys, this is the headphoneaddict.com and today I am doing a review of Beats by Dre Pro. Probably the most controversial headphone brand in the entire world, and I bet some of you loyal subscribers who have been subscribed to me for a long time are thinking to yourself, how is this going to pan out? What does this guy think about these headphones? Now, if it is a slaughter, I'll be a bit polite about it, but there's not going to be a slaughter. However, I'm going to tell you my honest opinion about them. So stay tuned for that. And we are going to have a lot of fun talking about these headphones. So, with the introduction out of the way, let's have a closer look at the headphones. Okay guys, so here is the headphones, and as you can see they are built out of solid aluminum. Not a solid block however, but they're built out of solid aluminum nevertheless. They come across as extremely durable, however, as you can see, they are exposed and can dent. If you look at the earpiece here, you can see that this unit has quite a bit of denting going on due to slumps and bumps. If I could just get the picture right, I could show you. So you have a dent here and a couple of ones over here. There you can see them much more clearly. So they are susceptible to denting and damage. However, they come across as pretty durable, and they're also quite heavy, should I say. So, solid build, well constructed, rattles a little bit. But what doesn't these days? It also fits just about every head out there, as it has an expandable headband. So you can expand it pretty much, and it's getting pretty large. Actually, this pair was lent to me by a long-time fan of the Beats brand, and he has worn them in extensively. When I started out my venture into expensive headphones, the Beats by Dre Pro was actually my first pair, but I found that I could not wear them for any periods of time due to the extensive clamping force, meaning the force inwards. Now these are worn in a lot as they are a bit old, but I still find that after about 15 minutes of use they become pretty much unwearable, as it hurts and my ears are sitting pretty tight to my head. However, the ear cups, even though they look a bit big, they still rest somewhat on your ear. So it will basically have a part of your ear resting there, and the clamping will go inwards, and they don't go rotate this way. So it will put a lot of force on the top of your ear and basically make it hurt after a while. Also, during hot summer days, they will be quite hot and pretty much unwearable, and if you wear sunglasses, the part which puts a lot of pressure onto your head will probably make your ears hurt a bit, so that's worth considering. Also, you have this nice cable which we are going to look at, and it basically has a locking mechanism, so it fits snugly onto the headphones, and you have an angled connector. The cable feels quite nice. However, the cable is a bit microphonic, so if you have this part resting towards your clothes and it's rubbing against it, and you're playing music at a low volume, you can hear that cable is rubbing against your clothes in the earpiece. So it's not completely silent, these headphones. However, it seems very sturdily built, and the cable being microphonic and all, that's not something that should be used to talk against the Beats by Dre Pro, as a lot of headphones have microphonic headphone cables, even the more expensive models. So just a note on that there. So, back to the headphones. They are built quite nicely. As I said, they have expandable headband. They are pretty soft, even though they are heavy. It's not that annoying, at least not in comparison to the extreme clamping force. However, it has some not a nice features, should I say, where you can pull the head cup back like so. Marketed towards DJs, as if you want to synchronize the beat in the headphones and the music in the loudspeakers, you would pull the earpiece back, have one of your ears listening to whatever is outside, and basically this is more of a fad really, and a marketing gimmick in my opinion, as it's much easier to just do the conventional pullback of one head cup. So it's cool, but pretty much useless in my opinion. Now let's look at the isolation and leak capabilities of the headphone. So I'll basically explain how I'm going to do these measurements, and then we're going to look at some measurements of the headphones in and of themselves. And lastly, I am going to do my subjective opinion of the sound, and at the end I'll give you a summary and conclusion. So stay tuned.
Okay, so the way in which this is going to work is by me playing back some ambient noise through a pair of speakers I've got here. Then I'll basically take the headphones on and off the measurement microphone, and you'll be able to hear how well they isolate from the ambient noise coming from the speakers. So let's get that going.
Okay, so now it's time for leak testing, and by leak testing what I'm going to do is to play back some music through the Beats by Dre Pro, and you'll be able to see how loud I'm playing up here, and you will also be seeing here from about 40 centimeters or 15.75 inches away from the headphones how much they leak. Furthermore, the microphone I'm talking into will be set up to record the leak, so you'll also be able to hear how much they leak. Now that is obviously dependent on the volume at which I'm recording and playing back, but it'll give you a sense of how much they leak nevertheless. And you'll also be able to see the difference between this measurement decibel meter and the volume at which I'm playing. So that's coming up now.
So we've just seen the isolation and leak test of the Beats by Dre Pro headphones, and as we could see in terms of decibels, they didn't really isolate that well. They did filter out some of the higher frequencies and higher pitched noises. Reason for that being that higher frequencies have less energy and are easier to absorb than that of the lower frequencies, so you would really expect it to work like that. So the isolation capabilities of the Beats are not great, but you basically get rid of the higher frequencies, and that's about it. Now, in terms of the leak test, I would say that they performed fairly okay. They don't offer you 100% privacy, but when we're talking about playing music at 90 and 80 and 100 decibels, you're probably not asking for a lot of privacy either. So I wouldn't say that they performed poorly, but it could probably have been better. The poor isolation, though, really got me thinking. I did not expect them to perform that poorly, but they did. So now it's time for the measurements of the Beats by Dre Pro. And if we have a look here, we basically have a huge boost in the bass. Basically, I was calibrating it in at 80 decibels, and up here in 60 hertz you basically have 95 decibels, so plus 15 decibels. Then you have the mid-range starting over here, which is 77, so about 3.24 decibels down. And then you have this huge spike in the middle of the mid-range, which basically makes vocals stand a little more out. However, this dip over here are probably the dip that makes them less harsh and dark sounding, because if you boost the upper mid-range lower treble, you basically get a lot of harshness in the headphones. And this dip over here basically removes the feel of airiness, and so does this one. So that's basically the measurements. I don't want to become too technical in my videos, but for those of you who are interested, this are the measurements I made, and I'm only going to show you the frequency response, even though there are other graphs and measurements as well, such as the waterfall, etc. But I'm not going to go into that, and I would like to say that these measurements are probably not as good as you could get from sources such as Tilet Infidelity or Headroom, etc. I'm not sure if they've measured the Beats by Dre Pro though, so you would probably have to find another source for that. But these are my humble measurements, and I think they show exactly how I feel about the headphones. So with that out of the way, let's talk about my subjective impression.
Okay, so to the sound quality of the Beats by Dre Pro, how do they stack up against other alternatives and higher end models? Well, I wouldn't say that these headphones give you great sound quality with regards to the price paid. I have been using them with a vast number of devices such as the iPhone, iPad mini, Android HTC One with Beats Audio. I've used it a lot with the headphone amplifier, the Mayflower Electronics Objective 2, due to being certain that there is no impedance mismatch, which muddies up the bass. So basically I've been using it with a lot of different devices. Also used it a lot with other devices when I first bought them, such as the Asus Exoner Essence ST sound card. So needless to say, I've used them with a lot of different headphone amplifiers and D2A converters. So how is the sound quality of the Beats by Dre Pro? Well, I wouldn't say they're great for the price paid, as I mentioned earlier. If I should describe their tonality, the bass is extremely overpowering. They have a huge emphasized bass. I wouldn't go as far as saying they have one note bass, but it's not really far from it. They certainly just lack the bass detail, and I find it a bit weird that a bass headphone has lack of details in the bass. I love my bass a bit overpowering, or not overpowering, but I love my bass a bit elevated. I'm actually in the process of building two 18-inch bass drivers in sealed enclosures, and they just, at least the one that I've built, is extremely nice, and it just gives you the most pounding extreme lows. However, it's detailed and has low distortion, so huge bass is nice, but this has less details in the bass and probably a lot of distortion too. So I think that due to the even though the bass quantity is high, the bass quality is unfortunately low. So how about the mids on these? Well, the mids, in comparison to the bass, the mids sound recessed, but in comparison to the highs, they sound forward. And they've got a little bit of a spike upwards in the upper mids, lower treble, which gives you a tiny bit of sparkle, but really the lack of good separation and the lack of good highs and mids really makes the bass seem overpowering and muddy. So they sound very dark and doesn't have a lot of sparkle, even though just a little bit of a sparkle, but they really sound closed in and really mudding up the whole audio spectrum. For instance, I was listening to Lord's Royals, the song, and the bass just overpowers the mids and everything just muds together. So that's unfortunate. Now, for music such as dubstep, trance, house, and contemporary pop music, which has been compressed due to the loudness wars. Have a look into loudness war if you don't know what that means. It basically means that music is compressed and there is no silence in music anymore. It's just one continuous stream of loud music. So take a look into that if you don't know what it means. For such types of music, they are okay, but there are better alternatives out there. I would say that if I were to go and get myself a pair of bass heavy headphones, I would look into something like these, which are smaller, just as sexy, and they play much better than the more expensive Beats by Dre Pro. These are the Accidentally Extraordinary 51st Studios, and I'm going to put up a link to my review of these. They are sexy as hell. They have a much better bass. They have emphasized bass, but they also have better bass quality, and they're far cheaper. They're about at or below $100. So great headphones for the price. Also, I would maybe have a look at something like the Sennheiser Momentum over-ear headphones. These have kind of a dark and musical sound signature, and not as poundy mid-bass as the Beats by Dre Pro, but they have a bit of an emphasized bass, but the bass quality is better, and they also have some roll-off in the highs and mids, which makes them sound dark but not muddy. So great headphones, and on par with the price of the Beats by Dre Pro. I would say that sound quality wise, these are better than the Accidentally Extraordinary 51st Studios, and they have less elevated bass. But basically, basshead headphones, I would take a look at the Accidentally Extraordinary and maybe also give the Sennheiser Momentums a listen. So that's pretty much how I perceive the audio quality of the Beats by Dre Pro, and as you could see, they both leaked a little bit of sound as well as didn't give you good isolation. So I would basically say that even though they're great fashion wise, I would say that they are probably not the best buy out there, and I don't care if you are an average consumer. I would definitely give more headphones than these a listen before deciding, because a couple of years ago these were probably one of the only stylish headphones out there, but nowadays you get tens and tens of cool looking headphones out there which performs better. So that has been my review of the Beats by Dre Pro, and I welcome you to comment and just hate on this video if you're a Beats fan. It's my honest opinion, and I'll be giving these back, and thank God for that. No, I'm just joking. They're not that bad. I am not hating them, but they're certainly not exceptional in my opinion either. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, and I thank you for watching this wonderful review made by your dearest headphoneaddict.com. So subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video, and just hate on and dislike if you are really in disagreement. So goodbye guys, thank you for watching.